Hi, welcome to video 21. In this video, we will learn integrating Selenium and Cucumber to form a full-fledged framework. So far, we had somebody called as Selenium, we had Cucumber, we have JUnit, and so on. Now, the whole idea is we have to identify a site which basically helps us to do some processing, or we can send and get the data. That's an idea. I have Selenium who does it. So there is an API. My API name today is called as Selenium. Selenium can help you to take the data and pull the data with the help of it. But what we do is intelligently, instead of using, of course, it will be Selenium undoubtedly, but you want to use a model which is called as a form model. So which is your project object model. I'm sorry, that is page object model. I'm really sorry. Now, the data, what it has to go from Selenium through POM is not decided by a developer, or it is not hard coded. The whole idea here should be given by somebody else. Now, who is the somebody else? We introduce a English-like language, which is called as a feature file. Feature file. Now, each feature file will have a scenario. Since we have many scenarios, I want to use something called as scenario outline. The scenario outline or the feature file is given to somebody called as Cucumber. The Cucumber internally has somebody called as Gherkin. The Gherkin will pretty much try to find somebody who's called as a step file. Step file. I'll have a step file. Now, step file will have a lot of methods. Of course, we have written a lot of methods out there for step file. Each of the step file is one action given by the feature file. This step file invariably start invoking the methods which are uh, there in the POM, which invariably helps you to go and hit to the server with the help of the API which Selenium has it. On the verge of it, we try using somebody called as scenario outline to pass the value. We can even inject something called as data table. So now the whole idea is to form a framework which can help us to achieve and output something like this. I'm sure that by this time we would have guessed a lot of things. We'll be using Selenium and how the Selenium is stored. And we would use somebody called as POM. And what is a POM? And all these things we just bundle it. Few things we'll make a list first and foremost. So the whole idea here, we want to use some website which can help you to take the data. So I just want to go to expedia.com. Expedia.com. I want to construct something called as feature file by the time it. So I want to put this in a notepad. So these are the steps which we want to do here. For example, I want to have a feature. My whole feature is to the feature is to select source show selection international flights. Okay, scenario. Uh, okay, so let's put some scenario. Now, of course, just by seeing this, we will say scenario is first and foremost uh, go to given when then. So I can also go with somebody called as background ground background given given open web application expedia.com expedia on Chrome. So I just have to say, given open web application Expedia on Chrome browser, because we want to do everything on the Chrome, or before every scenario I want to execute the background. So given uh, that's what we want to do it. So when you enter, the first thing is I got to click on flights. uh, I just say go to flights tab on home page. um, Yeah, once I click on home page, I will have to click on round trip or not. By default, it is selected. Of course, we have to do all this job. So let us do that. So first and foremost, when when uh, flying from Bengaluru to Washington DC, and on dates, the dates are. I just want to select some dates. All right. So let's consider something like 22nd June 22nd June 2018, dates 22nd June 2018, and return date on, I just want to make it little good, departing date okay, on return date on, uh, return date on, what do we say? It is like 27 June 2018, and and uh, and three adults, adults traveling. Then uh, and and click on submit button. Or instead of that, we'll make it a little more good English. Search flights available. Is that good? Then select the cheapest flight. Is that good? This can be one scenario. So I've not made anything concrete. I have not prepared, but most times when we try writing a scenario, we should land up something like this. So given open the web application Expedia on Chrome browser, given go to flights tab on the home page, flying from Bengaluru to Washington DC. Of course, this value have to be changed. When I say Bengaluru, I'm going to copy this internally in the program, or we can even do that with the right copy here. We can probably use scenario outline, whatever you feel like using it. No hard and fast rule there. Then we can go ahead and say, hey, look at this. We want the destination where you're flying to. Once after this, we want to have three adults who are traveling. Search the flights available. So when I say search the flight available, I should have clicked on the search flights available. Then I should say select the cheapest flights. So maybe the price of it or whatever. Given this and load airline. I just call it POM as of now. Is that fair enough? This is one of the scenario. So I believe the Eclipse is open. Let's go back. We will just go back and say new. Then there is Java project, which we want to say it like Cucumber Selenium. Perfectly fine. So Cucumber Selenium, I want to right click and configure. We want to make this as Maven project. So on the verge of making it as Maven project, I say com.cucumber Selenium. Perfectly fine. We want to get the POM file. The POM file is already there. We want the POM file for Cucumber. We want a POM file for Selenium and all those things. So in my case, we have already put a lot of effort to get these people. I'll go back to Selenium works under Maven. So here there is a POM file. I'll just do a little copy paste of this guys. Uh, Perfectly fine. This is your first dependencies, which I'm taking from Selenium. Perfectly fine. I'll copy this. Here, let's go back and build it here where you have a dependencies. So there's just a Selenium dependencies. I would just go back and gain to Cucumber Works. In Cucumber Works, I should also find POM file. So there's a POM file here. In the POM file, we want to load. We want to load the dependencies from dependencies, JUnit, info cubes, all the story what we had discussed some time back. I'm gonna copy it. It's a right click and copy here. I want to paste it, right? So let's see. Let's have a quick glance of what we have done. So this form file, which will have Selenium dependencies, MySQL, Commons IO, or Apache POI, POI over XML, JUnit, info cubes, and all these things are kept in one place. That's the whole idea of having it. Is it okay? So as if we need more form, we can pretty much try doing it at some point in time. But as of now, let's not be worrying too much Selenium. All other things I want to collapse it. So here, let's go ahead and try creating some nice folder structures. So first and foremost, to have we want to have source folder. We have a new source folder. Source folder. Let's call this as resources. Now here, I want to have another source folder which is called as test runner. Test runner because we believe in running the Cucumber test case. So in the source, we want to have a few more packages. Now let's go back and identify the packages what is required in our case. So we would say, hey, I want the packages here, which is called as com.state.driver factory. I want to have a new package called as com.state.pom where all the poms are kept. Then I will have a new package which is called as com.state. Uh, what do you call this? Steps or step files or whatever. STEP steps. So what are the packages we have it? We want a driver factory. We want a pom. We want a step definition. In case if we need some beans, we can always do that. And under resources, let's create a package which is called as com.stat dot I'll say features and test runner is a package which is called as com.stat.test. So they're like basic to basic packages which has to be created, and this is how it looks like. So this will not be beans. Let's refactor it. This is called as com.stat.beans. All right. So just refracting. Once after refracting, this is how the packages will pretty much look like. So we want to have driver factory, we want to have POM, we want to have beans, In case if we have some bean objects to be created, we'll have a step file. Of course, we have a feature file and we have the runner, right? So I hope this is good as of now. So first and foremost, let's go back and create the feature file. The feature file, I just want to call this as a file, and this file, which is let's call it with some name, uh, Expedia airline dot feature. Expedia airline dot feature. So whatever data which I've got, I'll just go ahead and delete it. So which I'm not very particular. I'll copy. Anyways, we have put some effort doing it. I'll copy and paste it. Perfectly fine. Is it? So here, when it comes to feature file, we can uh, try doing this pretty much, or I just want to check with a date format. It gives you in this format. It gives you in this format. I can pretty much try taking the same one. Here, it will be 22nd June. I'm sorry, this will be uh, perfectly fine. This is 20th June. I want to return on 27th June. That's a week. So that's where we want to have. And three adults traveling. Search the flights available, then the cheapest flight should be selected. We want to have the step definition for it. The step definition is very, very simple. Let's right click and run as feature file so that the step definition information is given here. Okay, so it gives you an error. Error parsing the file. Uh, okay, okay. So there is a lexical error at line number 11 because we have made a type which was supposed to be A and D. A and D, we have made ADN. I'm sorry about it. So I'll say run as cucumber feature. Okay. So this guy has given all the methods what you want. All these methods, we just want to copy it. We don't have to do much thing. It's a right click copy. So we'll identify a file which is called as a step file. Then the step file, let's create a class. And I say this is Expedia step. Expedia step. So here, which is a class, let's paste it here. And I do Control Shift O so that it does the auto import. Let me write it here. Control plus Shift plus O in your Windows or Control plus Shift plus O in Mac. So perfectly fine. So this forms pretty much all the methods what is required. Out of that, for a course of time, we can go ahead and try bidding for something like this, where this date, the source, the destination can change as and how you want it, right? So as of now, this is fair enough. We don't have the implementation here. Don't have an implementation because we want to still write the POM. So writing POM is another story out there. So this is good. This is good. This is good. All right. I'm sure this should be fine. So first and foremost, we have to classify. There are two things which we have to do it. Uh, First job is the right. The first job is background. So in background, open the web application. So if you could recall, we did given and done. So this thing, load airline form. So this is background. This will be actual scenario, right? So there are a few more things which is required. So this program, let's keep it on hold. We'll go back to form and try creating a form, then come back to this guy. Once if this is done, the next job is I may have to do a little juggle around between this screen and our Selenium because we want to construct a form. So quickly, what I do is I would go back to this guy who is called as form com.sdt.form. Let's create a new file. Yeah, that's a class. So let's say this class is something like hmm, flight page or say flight palm, Expedia. This name can be anything of your choice, just a way to deal with. So once I load this page, there's something which I have to do within driver.load. We're going to do it. The whole idea here to do is I have to click on the flights, fly from. I want to get fly to. I want to get the departing. I want to get the returning, and so on. Okay. So first thing, I want to have all the variables declared. You will have few variable which is called as web driver. So this is something which we have done it some time back. I'm just trying to do that instead of copy pasting. So driver. So we'll have public flight form driver driver. The start driver is equal to driver. Then page factory dot init elements of driver, and we want to initialize this class. So that's where you have it. Then we want to have a lot of web elements. So web element. So first web element is called as flights tab. Flights tab. So I'll say flights tab web element. So what I want fly from web element. The next one happens to be flying. I'm just trying to copy this header, whatever these people have given. So flying to web element. The next is departing date. Departing date. Web element. Return date and travelers. I just put it like number of travelers. Then finally, I should find somebody called a search button. Web element search BTN. Perfect. So let's go ahead and do flights tab. Here, I just right click and inspect on element, which is a flights tab. This guy should pretty much keep this, which is the flights tab, which is again okay. So if I just do inspector here, this is a button tab. This should give you there should be an ID. I'm sure because we did this a couple of times. I'm sorry. What happened? So here, this is what it should give. Yeah, if you look at this, there is an ID which is called as tab flight tab HP. It's what you have it. I'll right click and copy this guy. Right. We got to be a little more sensible or sensitive when we try playing with this because the whole idea here for a course of time is to identify XPath or ID, CSS selectors or whatever. I can say at the rate uh, find by find by. Yeah, you can even say something called as how. That's optional. You can even say it as how or whatever, and find by ID equals this. That's your first ID. So you got to click on this. The next guy is fly from. So fly from will be here this field. So here I should find somebody called as ID. We should look for this guy where I can find ID. So if you uh, spend a minute, look, it's a pretty complicated field, of course. I should find somebody called as ID here. Somewhere these people have written. Okay, the good idea is let me right click, copy XPath. Let's see what does this XPath give. Oh yeah, it is flight origin HP flight. It has taken by ID. Somewhere I should find. I'm sure that flight origin. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Flight origin HP flight. But anyways, keeping it short, let's go back. So at the rate find by ID equals flight or in HP flight. The next guy happens to be you're flying to. So I'll right click, copy XPath, and put it here and check. This is flight destination HP flight, which is again find by ID is this. Then we have departing date. Departing date. In fact, departing date is a combination of uh, two things. Combination of two things. So this is where it gets little tricky because we have to enter. This we have to think a little bit. We have to enter and do it. But just before that, let me click on this and I can check if this field is a read-only or not. So let's check if this field is good to send. If we can send the value directly, nothing like it. But unfortunately, these people have made this as read only. Now, when they make it as read only, when you try typing, they don't work. So if you just go to expedia.com, in fact, I'm trying to type here. I'm just hovering, clicked on it. I keep typing it. They don't work. So this is something which we have to little tackle. Um, what I do is I take the X path of it. In the method, I click give a delay. Then I also go ahead and click on this. For this, I want to use some program which we have already copied it sometime. Okay, so I want to select this guy and departing. Of course, this is where the ID is flight departing HP flight. Uh, okay. I'm sorry. So I have to take here, click on this, and wait for this guy to come, which is right click, copy, XPath. So XPath for departing date, I'm sure it is given. I'll copy this guy. So for departing date, do remember there shall be two actions. First to click on departing date and enter the date manually, right? Or enter the or departing date and click on the date given. So perfectly fine. So this will be fine by ID. Good. So this we're going to do it. There are two operations. We'll come back to that little again. So I have returning date. What does it do in returning date? We'll just check here. Yeah, the returning date is this. So which is flight, returning HP flight. I'm gonna copy this. I'll have this guy. Flight ID equals this. Very good. The same story will go here. For departing, we will have returning two actions. We're gonna do that. Mm, Here, once after this, we want to select what is called as number of adults. So adults is again two jobs. If I'm not wrong, adults you got to click on it, and I may have to click three times or two times the plus button. This is some job which we have already done. I would preferably would like to copy and paste it, but as of now, I just want this element to be there, and we'll do a first dry run for this and see if things go well first. So here I would right click and copy this guy who's called as XPath. XPath, let's see what is this XPath written. Okay, so there is, I don't have to really go ahead. I'm sorry. Here, I think this guy can still help us to give you here. I should still find an ID. I'm just doubting if they have it or not. Okay, so this is getting too messy. I just select this inspector. It's taking a little time. Since it is taking a little time, it gets down. So here is a button. I'll right click, copy, X path. I just want to check if this is the X path. Okay, this is the X path. So what I do is I will go back and say number of travelers. I say find by X path is this. So here we don't want to have double quotes, rather we can have the single. This is perfectly fine. This is perfectly fine. So you got to go and click here. Finally, the search button. So what is your last button, which is called as I select this and click on this guy who is search button. So button submit blah blah blah. So I'll say right click, copy the X path. So let's see what is my X path. Here is this. So they want to click on GCW and the label is button. Yeah, I just check. Yeah, we can even click by text, which is called a search, or you can go with XPath as button, whatever is good. So I'll say at the rate find by XPath is this. So we don't want to have double quotes. Let's put it as single quotation. All right, this is perfectly fine. So there are few more jobs which we may have to do it. One is for departing date, returning date, number of travelers. Search button is pretty fine. So first thing is I may have to click on flights tab. In order to do that, we need a method. We need a method here, which is public void click flight tab. This dot flight tab dot click. That's the first method. That's the first method. Public void. The next is fly from. Send fly from string fly. This dot fly from dot clear. This dot flying from dot send keys of fly. Is that good? So now this gets more interesting. I want to have public void send flying to. Okay, that's called flying to. Send fly to fly to where your destination is. This start flying to dot clear this dot flying to dot send keys, which is flight. Perfectly fine. That sounds good. Then we want to have uh, two. You have a departing date. Departing date. So departing date is here. Uh, Send departing date. This dot. First, you got to give a click sleep. Then you may have to give something called as thread dot sleep for like 1 second. No. So let's surround this guy with the try-catch block. So I click the whole idea here, you have to assume it. I click, I give a pause, then I have to click on any one of it. So what is the value which is set? And I'm sure that this code is something which we had already done. If you could recall, so now what I do is, let me go back to Selenium Works. I just need your help in case if I have forgotten. Expedia rates is good. Not in the, I think in the generic test, we have date picker. Date, we did some job. So this is where we had the data and all. So there was a X path, if I could recall. So if we could recall, when I click on departing wrapper HP flight. So that's where we should be looking for. I take this guy, inspector. Want to take an inspector. So I don't know, it is responding a little slow for me. Let me also check in meantime if I can have Firefox. This guy should be good. Expedia.com. All right. So let's inspect it with Firebug. Okay. So here I have Firebug. So what you got to do is you got to click on this and wait for this any of the value. So we want to click on something like 27, 28, whatever. This guy is not showing us. That's the first one. Here I should be able to, yeah, here. We remember this one which we did it. So the whole idea here, I want to send the text. Based on the text, I want to click. So I'll click on this and this guy completely, I'll copy it and give you a quick look at this. This is what I've copied from the Firefox and from the program, this is what we had given. So this is what we had given. Okay. So here I'll just delete it and let's keep it here. Good. So this is your package. Oh, this is not, we are not, we should not select. Again, I think I'm making a mistake. It is not package. It's going to be flight. Under flights. Under flights, here I have to click and got to know this guy. Sorry, it's not package. It's not package. It will be flights. Here it is. This is right. It's in the flights. So what we got to do is under departing flights, we have to give the temp value. Now, if we could recall from our discussion what we had done, the temp value will be the date which we want to send it. Now, how do I get it? Here, here in our code, if you could just have a look at this, I have active date elements. Whatever is active, I'm going to take this and I want to take the text of the button. So text of the button is like 21, 22, 23, whatever it is. So as of now, we will just ensure this value which you get will have like 21, 22, whatever it is. So once if this is done, I can pretty much copy this itself. I can copy this. Let's go back to flight form Expedia. When I click on it, then I want to have the X path. The temp here is departed. This will be departed. Is that good? So this is your X path. Then then I'll say uh, X path selection dot click. All right. I really don't have to have generic methods, but still I can do it with uh, driver dot find element by X path. The X path is X path selected date dot click. I hope this should make sense. But here, depart date in our Expedia airline, we don't have to give somebody like 06 2018. What we can do is we can give something like 20. So I'm looking for 20 here. Same thing for returning as well. We say we want to leave on 20th and we want to come back on 20th. If you want to do pretty much with complete date month year, then I have to do something like substring, extracted, try knowing the month and all those things. So that's where we try to get it. So for the same story of this guy, I say public void send returning date, return date, this dot return date dot click, then give a delay of like 1 second. After this XPath I have to again go back and select it. So where is this? This will not be on the departing, it will be on the returning. So in the returning, I will select something like 28 or 29, whatever. So this will get changed. So I just want to keep it side by side. This one departing, this one returning. You see there is a difference. So what I do is I'll copy this guy and keep it here. So first and foremost, from here till here will change. Of course, at least till button it will get changed. So what I do is I'll copy this guy from here to here. Uh, It means from here till the button it gets changed. Okay, so let's paste it. So which is I want to have expert selection date is flight returning date, wrapper, div, whatever. Uh, Finally, I want to give the temp data. So let's copy this guy here. This is your string. Okay. So I just want to put it in next line so that it's visible. This will be return date. Finally, driver.find element by XPath of XPath selection. All right. Dot click. All right. Very good. So finally, we have few more fields. The one which I have is the traveler. For the traveler, I don't know if we have already done this. Expedia booking, I believe. Okay. I should find, yeah, increment adults. This is where we had done. So if we could just recall. So first and foremost, we got to click on flights tab, origin fly, destination fly, department date and value. Okay. This is your traveler and for incrementing. So these are two things which we were looking for. And let's go back and copy this guy. This is for selecting adults. 255. Uh, Here, I'll go back. Flight form, Expedia. If you look at this. This is the first one, GCW flights form. That's where you have it, the travelers. I may have to click on this for the first time. Okay, so let's do that first. So which is number of travelers, uh, public void, select, uh, what does say, click number of travelers. This dot click. When I click here, what happens? The first thing is I got to click. Then I have to click on adults multiple times. So maybe like 3 times or whatever. Increment uh, adults. I'll go back here for int I is equal to 0, I less than number of travelers I plus plus. And here in the loop, I just say driver dot find element by xpath increment adults dot click. So if I say 5 travelers, then it will be 5 times click. If I say 3 travelers, it will be 3 times click. That's what we are trying to say here. So we want to have 3 adults which are getting passed. So finally, the last guy in our story, public void the search button. Here, search button. All right, let's start. So once if this is done, we just want a little more code. Of course, we have done so much driver factory. For the driver factory, I would just go back to this guy where we have seen something called as util in our utilities. So if you could recall, we have driver, driver factory. If you want screenshot, all those things, I'll just copy it. I'll copy a driver factory and just paste it. So here we go. So quick look. What does your driver class look? It will give you the Chrome key, Chrome path, Firefox key, Firefox path. Then we have driver factory. The factory here. As of now, it will just take Chrome and it will open the, no, it will set the Chrome parameters. For Firefox, it will set the Firefox parameters and so on. Then there's somebody called as screenshot. In case if you are looking for a screenshot, again, no hard and fast rule to have this code. So I'll just keep it open so that we can have a quick look. It's our old code. Where it has two methods. One screenshot which does not take a parameter. The second one takes a parameter. All right. So we should have these guys up in there. So form is ready, step file is ready, feature is ready. Is that good? But now I have to connect somebody. So I'll go back to the step. I'll go back to the step. Here I have to set up everything. I have to set up everything. So I'm sorry. Uh, let's go back and try having the data put. So first and foremost, in our step, we have to create the objects, which is pretty much required. So first and foremost, I need a POM. So that's the basic to basic. The first and foremost, private flight flight POM private web driver is driver. That's the first thing which we have to do. So background, open the web application. That's where you can have here, which is called as driver is equal to um, I just want to see a driver factory. How does it? Because it is, yeah, it's a static type method. So what I do is I'll go back. I'll say uh, driver factory dot get driver of Chrome. It is as simple as it. That's it. And this will give you the Chrome driver. Then load the airline form, which is flight form is equal to new flight form of driver. And we have to ensure this method is invoked first, only then it comes. That's why in the background we have given this first and then this. If I don't invoke this, by this time the driver would have been null and it gives you null pointer exception. The entire story will be like a disaster. So once if this is done, few things I may have to go to flights tab. How do I go to flights tab? I just have to say, hey, flight form. Look at how simple it becomes. We've done a lot of work. I'll go to flight form and say, click flight tab. It is as simple as it. As simple as it. So airline form, of course, we can try doing it. There's one more statement I have to do it. One more statement I have to do it, which is driver dot get. I'm sorry, base URL. So I declare a variable which is called as private string base URL is equal to something. So what is my base URL? As of now, it is called expedia.com. Expedia.com. All right. So we load the driver, we invoke the flight form and load the driver. Then I click on this. Okay. So then I will have a lot of stories to be written here. A lot of stories to be departing. Okay, so first and foremost, I have to click on, and I'm planning to enter fly from. So fly from, I just want to take the exact text. So here, I will just copy this guy. Here, go back in the story, fly from Bengaluru, flight is Washington. Okay, let this be as it is, Bengaluru and Washington. Internally, we can keep it. If not, we may have to change the methods. So here, fly from your not the flight form. Yeah, Expedia step. Here, flight from Bengaluru. I'll say uh, flight form dot send fly from. The fly from is coming from here. It is the value. Perfectly fine. Likewise, you have another method fly from. There should be another method which is called as fly to. Let's see what it is. Oh, we have put everything in one. We got only one step when Bangalore to Washington. So we'll go back here. Once after this, flight form dot send fly from fly to. Where do you want to fly? You want to fly to this place. Perfectly fine. Good. Then we may have to click on departing date. The departing date is little change. We have made little changes. If you could recall, the previous version of departing date was having with forward slash and so on. So this time it will be only the number. So I just want to run as cucumber feature here. The first thing is departing date on 20. This has literally gone ahead and doing it. But of course, that does not suffice the job. You still have to make a little more. I may have to close the other project. If not, Cucumber will go ahead and load all of the projects. That's another problem. So let's see. Given background. Yeah, it's doing a good job as of now. You can see that it enters Bengaluru and yeah, it has gone a little slower, but still it does the job. In fact, these are all getting executed by POM, which we have done just now. All right. Yeah. There are two more methods which are missing, so it does not go ahead. Of course, I knew that. I'll copy this guy here in flight. I'm sorry, this is Expedia step. I should find Expedia step here. Perfectly fine. So I should have this. When departing date, I'll paste it. The next is returning date. So for returning date, I'll copy and paste it. Perfectly fine. Because we are only sending the value. So for returning date, I'll say flight form dot what was our method name? Which was yeah, send depart date. On what date we want to go? Let's have a look at this. Here I may click on 21. So I want to go on 21, which is integer. Return date is on 27th. Return date is on 27th. I hope this guy will try taking. Uh-oh. This is little wrong. I have to get only argument 1. This will be arg1. Arg1. This is good. So it gives us a trouble. Change. Oh, okay. This has become the string type, if I'm not wrong. What are we accepting? We are accepting this as a string. Okay, so that's a good idea. Let me not change the form. Here I can say new integer of arg1 dot toString, so that we are not making any difference there. So returning date, we want to keep it as flight form dot send return date, which is arg1, because in our case now we have only one argument, arg1, which is integer new integer, okay, of toString. Makes sense, perfectly fine. Number of adults traveling, there should be a method here. Have something called as fly from, returning date, fly to, departing date. We have, yeah, number of travelers, which is arg1. Perfectly fine. This is good. Awesome. So click on the search button, flight form dot click search button, and I'll just put some to do here. So this will be one complicated thing to get all the flights list. This is where we can have the entire story. Now, let me just go back. I'll go back and look at this test. Here, I want to have a new class or test unit test, JUnit test case, where the JUnit test case will say test runner, test runner, and this guy will have nothing as of now. And I'll say at the rate run with. Suppose that's a pretty straightforward stuff, which we've been doing it with test runner. So test runner, it is taking some time. I don't know, the system would have gone slower. So as a run with, the class is called as cucumber dot class. That's the first thing we have to do it. Then I have to have some cucumber options, activate cucumber options, cucumber options. Let's see what options I got to give. The first and foremost, I got to specify who is called as features. Now, features, we have written it in some folder. Let's go back. Features. This will be an array of it. So here I'll say, which is resources slash com slash estate slash features. All right. The next is glue. The glue in our case will be uh, com dot estate dot estate dot step. Step. That's perfectly fine. Right. Then I can even say monochrome is equal to true. Plugin is ready. Okay. So these are like some basic to basic test. So this is of course a little long program, but it's all worth looking the way how it works. Let's see if this can go well. So it has loaded Expedia.com. That's a good thing. So in fact, the cucumber is invariably calling the Selenium. It's there on bundle and save. It clicks on flights. So I should find fly from, which we had entered from Bangalore International Airport to uh, Washington DC or whatever value which we gonna give it. It's doing some good job. So until we have made some typo mistakes, I don't think any other problem should be there with this. So it got stuck here. Got stuck here. Did not take it further. But let's see what is the exception. So there's no exception. It's still working. Yes, yeah. It says no such element. Unable to find a return wrapper with. Okay, so let's copy this guy. Copy stack trace and put it here and such. No such element to locate. The X path with this. That's interesting. So let's see why it is not finding it. So we want somebody here. Of course, I'm gonna go back here. Click on this and check. This is what, yeah, December 28, whatever. So just click on here. I'll copy this guy. Go back to the code. I'm sure that we have this POM file in Expedia. So we are, trying to understand a return date. Return date is this is the return date. Mhm. This is what I have copied. I have copied. Okay. So now, just wanted to check. It is flight returning wrapper because that is what it is there. With the flight div to table, right? Okay, that there's a small mistake which we have done. We don't have to pass this array of element. We don't have to pass the array of element. Then it should work well, perfectly fine. So you don't have to pass. That's what we have done it here. If you look at this, we don't have to pass it. Okay. So of course, so finally we have to again. There's one more step which probably is missing. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. Because in our feature file, we can give another step uh, scenario and close the browser. Close the browser, right? That's one of the steps. I can pretty much do that. Of course, as of now, I keep it as a comment. I leave it some time. Uh, let's see if this can work well with the test case, where you have the test case here in test runner. Test runner is here, and this guy should. I'm sorry, run as JNet. So of course, I'm sure that there should be small glitch here, which invariably we may have to handle it. Because everything here is getting executed from the POM. Awesome. Awesome. It has clicked on search. So now when it clicks on search, I may have to do a lot of jobs here, identify this element, and get which is cheapest flight and so on. So if I just go back to our console, here, this is this is what it has done. This is what it has done. So we remember that there were the last statement which we had put, go to get all the flights in the list. So maybe here it is just because a lot of these people will give you, but the whole idea is we have to get all the flights in the form of a list and find the cheapest flight what is possible. Then I have to move around. So there are like one scenarios, 9 test cases have passed.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.